Remember that in order to solve an equation like this, we basically break it up into two separate equations. The left side and the right side are both what y equals. And then we graph both of those equations on the same set of axes. Okay, great. So now having done that, we can now look to see what are the solutions. And remember, the solutions are basically just where they cross. And we're solving for x, so it's just the x coordinate of that point each. And so, yes, you should get points at -2 and 5. And notice here I actually drew in the individual points that get plotted there. By plotting each of those points neatly and clearly, you are allowing yourself to see where all of this stuff is actually located, rather than just kind of guessing about where it's crossing through. So plot those individual points. It's going to make your work much easier to follow, as well as making your graphs a little bit better and a little bit neater. So we're going to transition away from the graphing a little bit and add some new skills in, actually old skills, but where we're finding them and making sure they're solid. Seeing how to solve something or evaluate an expression like this. Now, when we do that, we need to remember the order of operations. In that order of operations, which comes first, this subtraction or this multiplication? The multiplication comes first. And so, I have to first do the 3 times 2, which is 6. Now, when you write out your work for these types of problems, I need to see this line written in. You're going to do one thing at a time. People start running into trouble when they try to do more than one thing at a time. Not only does it make the work harder to follow, but you actually tend to create a mistake because you try to oversimplify, and it causes some problems. All right, and then I do the 10 minus 6, which is 4, so the final answer here is 4. Okay, not too bad, right? Now, all of this stuff comes back to the order of operations. If you are not super familiar with the order of operations, which some people just summarize as PEMDAS for hopefully obvious reasons here, then you might want to be writing this down very, very quickly so that you'll have it to look back on as we continue through and do more of these types of problems. So this is the order in which we can evaluate any expression or simplify any expression, figuring out what it equals. The idea is that we start at the top of the list and we work our way down. So the very first thing we do is we do whatever's inside any parentheses that might be in the problem. Whatever is inside the parentheses, do that first. And or brackets. Then we take care of exponents. And then the multiplication and division actually sometimes gives us problems. Because this says do parentheses first. Do exponents second. What's kind of tricky though is we memorize it this way, but actually multiplication and division are both step 3. Multiplication and division are technically on the same level. Because actually, technically, they're really the same operation. Yeah. So we just remember multiplication and division, so we remember that that one goes in there too. And then addition and subtraction is the same kind of a way, where we do the addition and subtraction together. We just go left to right when we do the addition and subtraction. Same as multiplication and division. So there's really only 4 steps. It's just a matter of going through them in the correct order to get the right answers each time. And so to continue practicing that, here is your next problem. Please write this one down. And once you've written it down, go ahead and show each of the steps to get to your answer. You should have a grand total of the original problem, 1 step, and then the answer. So 3 lines. So we have 1 line for our original problem. The second of our 3 lines, we do the 5 minus 2, which gives me 3. The squared is untouched at this point. I haven't done anything with it. Now we do 3 squared. And remember, squaring something means multiplying it by itself. So 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is? 9. So that's what your work should look like. Please write down this problem. And again, figure out what this one equals. Evaluate the expression. And again, write out all of the work. When you write out all the work for this one, you should be using a grand total of 5 lines on your paper. The original problem, plus 4 more. Now, when taking a look at this, the most common erroneous answer that I see is 360. The reason is because a lot of people look at this and your instincts really, really want to tell you to do 17 minus 5. But that is out of order. Because the first thing we need to do in our order of operations is stuff inside the parentheses. Now there's two sets of parentheses in this one. And so I start with the innermost parentheses. That means the 1 plus 2. So I do 10 times 17 minus 5, and then that's times 3. Notice the only thing I did was just that stuff inside the parentheses, the 1 plus the 2. I'm not trying to do more than one thing at a time. Now I look to see what happens next. And if you did that subtraction first, notice why that's an error. You did it before the multiplication. We have to do this multiplication first. And so the next step should be 10 times 17 minus 15. Right, let's go ahead and finish it out from here. So we do 10 times the 17 minus 15, which is 2. Because again, I'm doing the stuff inside the parentheses. And then 10 times 2 gives me a final answer of 20. Okay, as you work this one through, again showing every step on your paper, when it's all done correctly, including the first original line, where you write down the original problem, you should have 5 lines shown. Alright, so to work it out, think of the order of operations. Remember PEMDAS. The very first thing there is the P, which tells me to do the stuff inside of the parentheses first. So, the only thing that I'm going to change here is the parentheses. So this 3 squared is untouched. I do need to do 8 minus 7, which is 1. Okay, so that's 1. Now, after the P comes E in PEMDAS. The E stands for exponent. So the next thing I do is I do the 3 squared. So that's going to be 2 plus 3 squared. Remember, means 3 times 3. So 3 squared is 9. And that is still times 1. Now I have addition and multiplication. The next thing is the multiplication. So it's going to be 2 plus 9. And 2 plus 9 is 11 for our final answer. And this is exactly how your work should be looking. Alright, so this one is set up a little differently, notice. It's in function notation, and we're being asked to find f of 9. Remember what f of 9 means. The 9 is in the parentheses. That's where the x normally goes. So it's telling us that x is 9. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it in for x in the equation. So I'm going to write f of 9 equals 5 minus 4, 9 minus 8. That's the first line that we have to write in there. That's just plugging the 9 in. From here, that right side is going to be doing the same thing that we've done on all the other problems now.
I solved that as a YMSB.
So we go and we do the order of operations. So first thing is the stuff inside the parentheses. So I do 5 minus 4 times 1. Now I do the multiplication. So it's going to be 5 minus 4. And now I can go ahead and do the subtraction finally. So we get a final answer here of 1. And all of these are what f of 9 equals. And so by writing that answer as f of 9 equals 1, you have in that one line both the x value and the y value that are connected there. So this one is a bigger problem. It's a more complex problem, but you're still going to approach it the same way. Because I want you to be able to check your answer before we show it up here, your answer that you should be looking for here is 11. You should find that f of 3 equals 11.